Group with sports director Max Williams and weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson. Sponsored by Adson Offers Velocity Power Sports, Palace Bingo, and Frost Bank. Crossroads Football Live starts now.
Welcome everyone here to week 7 of Crossroads Football Live, and tonight we are officially 1 month away from the playoffs starting here for all our Texas high school football teams. Tonight we had some intriguing matchups, and we had a splash here to start in October for our game of the week. So our game of the week was between the London Pirates. They're 3-2 overall, traveling out to face the Goliad Tigers, who are 4-1. Now Goliad looking to win the district this year. Again, they're right now in the lead over Edna, and again a team we're going to look at earlier at Orange Grove that's currently undefeated right now, 5-0. For Goliad, how about the start here? Donovan Perry, we mentioned we talked to him a little bit earlier. How about this? Gets the screen pass here from Cord Zamzow, takes it in all the way for the end zone. And Goliad would their start off right away to the start, 7-0 lead. But London would answer right back immediately. How about a big time pass? Alex Manning goes down deep there, finds his running back there for the touchdown, and London strikes right back. This game was early 7-7, but Goliad, they would start to flex their muscle. Lamont Franklin, how about this? Gets there the sweep play and just uses his speed to get by number 5 and just gets in there all the way to the end zone. And again, for Goliad, they would get up there 14-7. This score was not even close. Goliad would win this one. They're 61-7 here over London. For Goliad, they are officially now still undefeated right now. They're in district play. For London, they officially now dropped to 2-2, and now Goliad travels out to face Aransas Pass there next week. Now, actually, another game that we had very close consideration for our game of the week was right here in Victoria. We had Victoria West Warriors hosting the top-ranked Alamo Heights Mules. It was their homecoming game, blackout for all the fans there. It was, again, great crowd. I was at this game. We had a big crowd that showed up, even on the roadside there for Alamo Heights. And guess what? They would start off quick there for the Mules. How about the big time pass from the quarterback there, Easton Stone, finding Alex Cross there for the touchdown. An early lead there for the Mules. This would be up there 7-0 here. They would start off. And again, Alamo Heights, very explosive offense. Then a couple drives later, after a penalty there from Victoria West, again for Alamo Heights, they take advantage there. Stone finds theirs running back there, DK Garza on a wheel route, and he'd get up the score. It would be 13-0 Alamo Heights. And again, Alamo Heights, explosive offense, but their defense, they had a tough time kind of stopping this guy, Andrew Henley. He gets in there, big time rush. That was from 35 yards. And later on, fortunately, I missed this one. Get in the highlights, though. 96-yard touchdown run there from Henley there to also get in the end zone. And this game was high scoring. I expected this one to be high scoring. I expected this one to be a very close game, and Alamo Heights would hang on to get the victory there, 54-42 over Victoria West. Now, Victoria West, this is not the end-all, do-all, though. You're, again, first loss in district, 6-1 overall, but you have a really tough challenge, though, next versus the Bernie Greyhounds, and that could really help maybe define the season the rest of the day for Victoria West. Now, I mentioned there Andrew Henley. He got some big two-time touchdown runs. Didn't get any other big-time stats for him to go the rest of the way, but again, props up for being our player of the game, though, there at Victoria West. He was big as well. And also, I'll shout out Genesis Jeffries, too. He had a big game as well there for Victoria West, and again, like I mentioned, it is not the do-or-do all there for Victoria West fans, but you got to get the job done, I believe, against Bernie to keep it up to possibly win the district title. Now from over to Victoria East, this game was there last night for Thursday Night Football, and East, they won their first game of the year there last night versus San Antonio MacArthur Brahmas, 43-7. It was also the homecoming game for Victoria East there. Deidre Callis and Xavier Valdez had a rushing and passing touchdowns there in last night's win to carry that momentum. Again, next Friday night there will be at home versus San Antonio Wagner Thunderbirds. That game's going to start at 7 p.m. next Friday. Now from both the local 5A teams to a 4A ranks, where we had over to Sand Crab Nation, where Lavernia Bears, they travel to face this, again, Calhoun Sand Crabs out there in Sand Crab Stadium. And Calhoun, last year, this is kind of when they turned their season around there in district play. For Lavernia, last time these two teams meet was out there in Katy, Texas for the regional semifinals. And going to start for the way, how about Isaiah Cabrils starts off big time run there, start off there for the Sand Crabs, but they would only settle for 3 points on that play. For Lavernia, though, how about the big time pass from Cooper Nall, finding number 9 Wyatt Frank for a big play, and that would lead into the second quarter where they would score. Cooper Nall calls his own number to get the touchdown there for Lavernia, and they would take the early lead for the Bears. Now for Lavernia, this I mentioned last year, they're a very run-first offense, but when they can pass the football. And speaking of pass, how about Cabrils? This is a trick play. The wide receiver goes deep to Holton Hadley to get into the red zone, but guess what? No points to show off for it. Again, 3 points for Calhoun. Lavernia would blow out the Calhoun Sand Crabs tonight, 38-3 there in this contest. And Lavernia last year only won 24-21 in the regional semifinal matchup. But this year, again, just not even close there for Calhoun. So now for the Sand Crabs, they're going to have to regroup now in District A if they want to make a run. They face Beeville Jones there on the road in Week 8 for that matchup. So stay with us here in Crossroads Football Live. As after the break, we're going to highlight some 2A action with Refugio, Bloomington, and Ganado, and see how Industrial did tonight there hosting Van Fleck. All those games coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Victory Auto Group, where the customer always wins.
Here on Crossroads Football Live, and now let's look at some 2A schools that had some big-time action here tonight. First, we're traveling out to Weimar, where they hosted one of our top 2A teams in the Ganado Indians. And Ganado already 2-0 in district so far and looking to keep that up pace with Weimar. But Weimar starts off here with a big-time 46-yard touchdown, little pass out there to get a big-time play. Not a touchdown, but almost close there to the end zone. And Weimar, they got an explosive kind of offense to start off with there for the Wildcats. That would lead to kind of later in the drive where they get a big touchdown run here on this play. Bullied himself there in the end zone. Getting past 4 people. Get it there to the touchdown there for the Wildcats. But then Ganado, Landon Arriaga, how about this? A little bit kind of a pass outside. He goes out there to Logan Burst, and guess what? He just does the rest. How about that? No one even touches him. End zone to the house there for the Indians, and it would get right there. But then, how about Arriaga again? This time, fits it outside. Good foul play out to Austin Pena for the touchdown. And again, Ganado just kept that passing game. Landon Arriaga, look at this pass out again. Big time play. 28-yard touchdown pass outside there to Logan Burst. And for Ganado tonight, this is what they do. They're starting to get back to the form where they won again the 2A Division I state championship type of level, because the final score 49-8 in this contest there. So guess what? That score that you saw there for Weimar, that was their only score in the contest, because the rest of the time there, Goliad would win their 49-8 there over there, the Wildcats. Now for the Indians, they're going to be back at home versus the Schulenburg Shorthorns there next week. Now, just mentioned that Goliad got a big-time win and officially going 3-0 in district there, and they get to travel out to Orange Grove there next week. We're just going to have the highlights, as we mentioned, as they beat Palacios there, as we talked about in our 10 o'clock show. But our 25 News Now weekend sports anchor, Ray Robinson, was at this game to talk about just how this team got the big-time victory and how they're going to look ahead the rest of the way in district play.
All right, Max, your game of the week just concluded, which saw the Goliad Tigers walk away with the victory. Final score, 61-7. And one of the guys responsible, brother Lamont Franklin. So, Lamont, how are you feeling? I mean, you guys just, it was a blowout.
Yes, it's a lot of trust.
For sure, I think being humble is one of the ways that you guys just get motivated into calls that was somewhat, a little bit of questionable. So, what was your expectations going into tonight's game? Was you expecting it to be a 61-7 blowout?
I mean, I expected a closer game, but like I said, we just stayed patient with each other. One step at a time, one play at a time. We just went with it.
For sure, you guys just erupted in the second half. I saw you kind of getting a little bit of experimental with those runs, and just walk me through your plays, man, because that one play where you did the spin move, and it was looking like it was going to be a touchdown. So, what was your mindset when you're on the field with the ball in your hands?
It's always good to get so. I mean, it's working out good. Off the field, it's definitely touchdown. It was definitely, the thought is getting the end zone.
I love it. And final question, as we look forward to Orange Grove next week, you guys are on the road, another district matchup. What are some key points that we're going to take away from tonight and, look forward to as we battle Orange Grove?
Like I said, taking play, staying humble, doing what we do, and getting better every week. And I think that should lead to good things happening.
For sure, we're looking forward to it, Lamont. Best of luck to you. Max, back to you.
All right, props up there, Lamont Franklin and Goliad getting a 61-7 victory there tonight there to get the victory over the London Pirates. Now, we had, again, a player spotlight that was from the Goliad game, and Landon Arriaga had some big-time 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, totaling out to 5 total touchdowns there from the ground and passing game for Landon Arriaga, making him our player spotlight here for the game. And again, for Goliad, they're going to be hosting the Schulenburg Shorthorns there next week. Now, how about Refugio? They're hosting their homecoming game there tonight versus Santa Maria. They're Cougars, and guess what? They won 64-7 there in this conference. Refugio just keeps looking like consistent each week. I mean, Goliad, they had a couple of bumps in the road there into it, but Refugio, I think, is showing that dominance throughout the whole season, and they get a big-time win, 64-7. They're actually going to be hosting another game back there next week before they're on their bye week in 2 weeks. Now quickly over to Bloomington, who last week lost in our game of the week there versus Tony in a tough challenge, 10-6. But guess what? They faced Kennedy Lions tonight, and unfortunately Kennedy wins 60-7 there over Bloomington. The Bobcats, they get to host Weimar now next week, team that just lost there to Goliad at home in Bobcat Stadium. Industrial, they battle hard, but just lost there. Actually, never mind, they actually got the win there 27-12 over the Van Vleck Leopards. So Industrial officially gets their first win of the season there over Van Vleck, and now they get to travel out to Rice Consolidated there next week. Now also, Industrial didn't just get a win on the field, they got a win there for our band of the week. The Golden Cobra Band is led under Larry Furman, Jessica Carter, Nicholas Jocelyn, and congrats to everybody else there for the Golden Cobra Band, because last year they were named also Band of the Week from last year. They get to keep it up there for this year. So if you got a Band of the Week that you want to mention, just go to crossroadstoday.com/contest and you can put your entry to be part of the show. And stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live, as after the break we look at Yoakum, Hallettsville, Edna, and see if Cuero is not looking ahead there for that Sinton matchup. All that coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
We're the Alamo High School cheerleaders, and you're watching Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Palace Bingo. You can't have high school football without the beat of the marching bands. Crossroads Football Live is excited to spotlight talent in our local high schools with our Band of the Week segment. Every week, we'll pick one band to feature on Crossroads Football Live. Get your cameras and show us your band under the Friday night lights. Go to crossroadstoday.com/contest to nominate. Tune in to CFL every Friday night at 10:35 to see who's marching to the top.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live. We're going to move over to the 3A ranks now. The Yoakum Bulldogs traveling out to face the Hempstead Bobcats there tonight. Now, for Yoakum, this is a team that was in my Friday Night 5 rankings last week at number 5, because I believe this is a team that's got a lot of the pieces together. But guess what? Hempstead would actually start off there with the first touchdown of the game. And again, big time rush there to get in the end zone. He broke a couple of tackles to get in there for the Bobcats, and they would take the early 7-0 lead there in this contest. Now, for Hempstead, this is a team that's, again, has not won a game there this season. They were trying to put spoiler there for Yoakum, because Yoakum, Jamarcus Robinson has been huge there for this team. Xavier Barnett has done big-time plays, and this was, again, after the ensuing kickoff there to guess who? Xavier Barnett. And again, the 4-star SMU commit just does the work all himself. Look at that, just getting by some people, using that speed, gets in there to the end zone, and Yoakum would respond quickly right back here in this contest. And again, remember I mentioned Hempstead, that was really kind of the only couple of scores there in this game, because for Yoakum in this contest, they took care of business. The final score here in this game would be their 48-13. Yoakum keeps kind of being the dominant team to watch out for the rest of the way with that win, because their biggest challenge, though, is coming next week, though, as they host top-ranked Columbus Cardinals at home there on Friday. How about Hallettsville? They opened a district play. They were with a tough loss, unfortunately, the Hitchcock Bulldogs, 34-7 for the Brahmas. They're going to be on their bye week before they travel out to face the Hempstead Bobcats next week. Over to 3 Division I, District 15 again, with the Edna Cowboys looking to sustain their confidence after their win versus Aransas Pass there last week. They traveled out to face the Mathis Pirates there tonight in this contest. Well, for ado, let's check out the highlights. Again, first of all, Mathis failed to score. Then it was time for the Cowboys. Keegan Hicks, guess what? He had a punt return we saw there against Refugio. He does it again, and Edna takes the early lead. But then, how about this play? A mistake there from Mathis going down the field, intercepted there by Edna's Marquise Tillman. And again, for Edna, they looked up there, because after the play, Edna capitalizes on the grounding. Maverick Robinson takes it in with the handoff, dances his way through the game, get the Cowboys up 21-0 going into the first quarter. Yes, 21-0 there through the first quarter, and Edna would not look back here. The final score here in this contest was 48-12. The Cowboys get the victory, and officially now they're back in the race. Back-to-back wins now. Confidence is going in there for Edna, as they get to host again London next week, before they actually play probably in our game of the weekend 2 weeks from now versus the Goliad Tigers. Now over to the 4A ranks where the Cuero Gobblers have been dominant so far in non-district play. Well, they start up district tonight. They're on the road versus Rockford Fulton Pirates of Cuero. Like I mentioned, 6-0, while Rockford Fulton heads in this matchup 3-3 overall. And again, for Cuero, they started off there strong going out this play. How about Rockford Fulton, though? A fumble on the play and looked like you're going to get it. Ball's going everywhere, and Cuero recovers it there inside the play. Jackson Marie, though, back there on offense, takes his time, throws it up there, trying to get it for grabs in the play. That's how about that catch there from, again, Jordan Jones, again, one of the underrated players there for the Gobblers this season. Then, quick screenplay, that's actually there. Check it out, Camelo Perez gets in there, the end zone for the Gobblers. And the Gobblers, this game was high scoring, just like, again, the Alamo Heights Victoria West game. But Cuero fans lost by 1 point there to Rockford Fulton, 57-56. So again, for Cuero, they have 1 loss now going into district play at 0-1. And again, I mentioned that tough challenge there versus, again, the Sinton Pirates again there next week, which is going to be a big challenge there the rest of the way. Now, stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live. It's after the break. We got a lot of scores we're going to cover in Shiner, Luis, Bay City, El Campo. All those scores coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Frost Bank.
Welcome back here to Crossroads Football Live, and we're going to quickly check out some scores from a couple teams that we haven't really mentioned here the rest here of tonight. Let's first go out and talk about Shiner as they took care of business beating the Charlotte Trojans to start 1-0 in district play. They get to be on the road next week versus Fall City in Week 8. Now, staying in the same district, the Luis Hornets, we had a great sit-down interview there last week. They actually faced Fall City there tonight at home. Tough one to swallow, though. 48-8 there. They lost there to Fall City. They look to turn it around at Pettis there next week. Over to 4A Division I District 15, where we looked at Livonia versus Calhoun earlier in the show. Well, in that same district, though, we had Bay City travel out there to Floresville there in that contest, and Bay City took care of business, and they're winning 35-7. They host a very confident Livonia team there next week, and possibly a big-time consideration for game of the week for Week 8. Now, another team to not sleep on, though, in that same district is the El Campo Ricebirds, who are currently 4-1, facing the Beeville Trojans, who are 1-4 heading into this game. And El Campo won 45-7. They travel out to Floresville there next week. Shiner St. Paul, they actually traveled out to face the Covenant Christian Cougars there tonight. They won 56-28. And again, I mentioned they host Hallettsville Sacred Heart in a very intriguing matchup at home there in Week 8. And up next here on Crossroads Football Live, and we're going to reveal this week's Friday Night 5 rankings, and there is a pretty good of a twist there that I'm mentioning out there for this week's rankings, so get ready for that coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Hudson offers Velocity Power Sports Outdoor Fun Store.